Hello and welcome to another episode of Scott Reads Comics. Today I'm going to cover The Savage Sword of Conan, Volume 7, The Dark Horse Essential Edition. This volume collects issues 72 to 84 of Savage Sword of Conan, including over 500 pages of Hyborian action. And of course, we have our gorgeous color cover, but as we know with Savage Sword, all our interiors are going to be black and white. Wonderful Joe Chiodo cover here. And as I've said before on the show, these volumes are long out of print. I would say that Titan's never going to reprint these stories as faithfully as we're seeing them here. I would love to be proven wrong, and maybe I will be, but my point being, if you ever see these in the wild, snatch them up because they are well worth the price you pay for them, even though they're getting up there a bit over cover price. So we have our table of contents, and this issue, this volume, is going to include our customary dose of John Buscema and Ernie Chan, but we're going to get a few others in there as well, to a lesser degree or more. There's going to be some Alfredo Alcala, our old friend Alfredo from the first volumes. We're also going to see some more Val Merrick, who was at this point, I guess, a younger, more up-and-coming artist. I will also add that from a personal standpoint, as a Savage Sword reader, as a kid, we're now going to be getting into the issues that I began buying off the newsstand, at my local newsstand. And I don't really know if my parents actually knew like sort of the somewhat prurient content of these particular stories versus the color book. I don't think they minded. They knew how much I loved them. So, publisher Mike Richardson, editor Phil Simon, assistant editor Patrick Thorpe, art director Leah Rabacci, designer Stephen Reichert, digital art and production Susan Tardif. Special thanks to Frederick Malmberg, Joachim Zitterberg, and Leslie Bueller at Conan Properties. And let's dive in here with Savage Sword of Conan number 72. Great Joe Jusko cover here. Really cool pinup from John Tuttleton. And as you can see, printed on gorgeous newsprint, so there's going to be that nice ASMR. If you're into that sort of thing, there's going to be a nice ASMR experience to this video, with all of my coverage of the Savage Sword collections. Great Pablo Marcos pinup there. So this one is Buscema Chan. If you're a fan of Conan, you know it from the splash page. You can see the familiar marks of John Buscema with the heavy inks of Ernie Chan over them. Really good. And I'm not going to linger too long on any of these. Just going to page through and just enjoy the spectacle of what we're seeing here. Conan pulled down by a mass of humanity here off of his horse. And the Cimmerian's battered bulk is buried under a mountain of writhing bodies. A mountain that abruptly transforms itself into an erupting volcano. Enough of this. Carcania was ever a city of hospitality to my memory. Perhaps 'tis time for a bit of house cleaning. Now, who would next take a lesson in manners from Crom? Where are they? They're fighting among themselves over my water bags. They're distracted from me and my mare by the promise of mere mouthful of moisture. So Conan escapes in that moment, not wanting to slay desperate townspeople. And of course, we have this signature open panel at the bottom of the page that Buscema likes to do. Lovely transition device, breaking up the panels. He's masterful, as we've said. And then Conan comes upon the hovel of the hut of the family that was in the beginning of the story. Oh my, he drinks the blood of this turtle out of desperation. I guess it's a terrible drought going on. They find themselves in the footprint of some giant beast. Oh, he impales this guy on his sword. Conan just as adept at mounted combat as he is at battle on foot. There's a giant turtle statue there. Really cool. Sorry if I've got a bit of the sniffles today, folks. My autumn allergies have taken hold a bit early. So you may hear an occasional sniff or even a sneeze. Apologies ahead of time for that. Oh, he's fighting these misshapen creatures. Oh, this guy's. The silken cowl falls back. Even Conan's steel nerves flinch at the hideous sight of ruined flesh, blackened teeth, and protruding bone. The blade under his dripping chin. Bela claps his hands twice, and the screeching horde evaporates in an explosion of blue smoke. So we have some exposition here. And I like how they do this sometimes in the stories, in these flashback or exposition sequences. Our text boxes are dark. They have a black background, which gives us a nice picture of exactly the fact that we are in the past. And this is a long one. At this time, let's see, how much were you getting here? Okay, yeah, so the $1.50, that's when I kind of started at the end of the $1.25 Savage Swords, but most of the Savage Swords I bought as a kid were $1.50. But you got just a mountain of story for that. And of course, I knew we were going to get a giant turtle in this one. I could see it coming. Pretty great here. Conan using trickery to defeat this beast. Just fascinating how Buscema is able to take this plot and put it on paper and build a whole world out of it. And the Ernie Chan inks are, as always, impeccable. Here we have a full Ernie Chan pinup. Now we're on to issue 73. The Changeling Quest. Cover art again by Joe Chiodo. Nice pin-up here by Pablo Marcos. And then this is one of those rare treats. We have all John Buscema. Pardon me a moment, folks. Hopefully that'll help a little. Yes, we have all John Buscema on this story, The Changeling Quest. I love when John inks himself. You kind of, in a way, this is the purest form of John Buscema artwork. Here's that open panel again, but this time he encloses the bottom of it here in a sort of a micro box. Very neat. Oh, cool. I think this is the first time I've seen a hippo in a Conan comic. And they are apparently as ornery in this comic as they are in real life. We've seen plenty of crocodiles in Conan comics for sure. No one draws figures bursting through wooden doors quite like John Buscema. I know that's a very specific compliment, but it's something that's notable about the dynamism of John Buscema's artwork. He can show characters at rest and characters in absolute dynamic action with equal aplomb, equal skill. John Buscema can draw anything. He really can. Look at this dog. Excellent. And of course, another of his lovely women. I can see you possess a ravenous appetite, barbarian. but surely you weary on occasion of being forced to quench it alone. You just might be able to help me slake my thirst at that girl. And innuendo is pretty heavy, folks. But Conan's not going to be fooled by someone who's trying to get at his purse. It looks like the town guard are about to get a heaping helping of Conan here, as he's letting them have it, getting away with the girl. Oh no, these brigands are knifing these guys in the dark. Oh, yeah, there's some pretty unflinching scenes of violence in these stories. They were definitely, at the very least, PG-13, if not, in some cases, leaning towards R-rated in terms of the violence, at least, if not the other stuff that you get to see in here. They definitely didn't have the comics code to handcuff them. And we're pretty much out of the Roy Thomas era of Savage Sword now. We're getting the Michael Fleischer scripts, and he did a really great job. He had a really good handle on the character, really as Conan the Wanderer, because rarely do these stories have the sort of continuity beyond one or two issues where they're Conan is set in one place and we're following an epically long plot. He is very much a wandering hero at this point. Bones of Crom. Look at this giant spider, really cool. Well rendered by Buscema. Black pitch here. You never want for color in these. I don't know how I would feel if these were ever colorized as a en masse. I think they were drawn to be black and white stories. Here we get some sci-fi elements almost. And he who is so audacious as to violate those codes and is discovered doing so must be prepared either to face the awesome consequences or else take flight. As you can plainly see, I elected the latter course and came here to your world. So this crazy thing is some kind of almost like Cthulhu-like alien creature. And as I've said before on the show, that Robert E. Howard was a contemporary of H.P. Lovecraft. They were friends, they were pen pals, and they took part in what could be considered a shared universe. And so there were Cthulhu mythos elements that sort of dotted the outer perimeter of the Hyborian Age, and sometimes invaded it wholesale in certain stories to create a sense of cosmic horror. Howard was adept at the regular old sword and sorcery, and he could go into cosmic horror in and out as he pleased. He was very good. And taking that inspiration from Howard, writers like Roy Thomas and Michael Fleischer could do the same. Jeff Easley, great D&D artist. New Englander Jeff Easley. So here we are with issue 74. Love this cover. I think this was a mostly white cover. I think I own this one. March 82. Joe Jusko. Lovely Joe Chiodo pinup here. And this art, there's a story by Chris Claremont and art by Val Merrick. And Val Merrick's Conan is definitely very different than John Buscema's. Reminds me a little bit of Alfredo Alcala. His figure work, his action scenes are not nearly as smooth as Buscema's. His storytelling is not as good by any stretch, but it's not to say that this work is inferior or not enjoyable. It's just not as good as John Buscema. It's very different. I'll have to go through some of my single issues because those have the Swords and Scrolls letter page. And I would love to have seen what the reaction of fans were from this Val Merrick story. Again, the action is cool. But his line, his style, so much different than John Buscema or Ernie Chan for that matter. I think later on in this volume, we're going to get Merrick and Alcala teaming up. So that'll be very interesting. Because I feel like Val Merrick's style is kind of akin to Alfredo Alcala's. And of course, it's a Chris Claremont story, so you know it's going to be verbose. Finish up with an Ernie Chan pinup there. On to issue 75. Lovely Earl Norham cover. Awesome. Carl Potts pinup here. And how about that? We're on to an Alfredo Alcala story. Michael Fleischer script. Now, I love this. This is, I think, a little better rendered than what we just saw from the Alcala story, or from the Val Merrick story. Alcala, again, he's been at it longer at this point than Merrick was, and just a more accomplished artist, I think. Again, taking nothing away from Val Merrick, but I find this stuff to be a lot more pleasing. You know, on the scale, if you wanted to make an ad hoc scale of favorite Conan artist, mine, of course, Buscema would be at 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best. And then you can fall everyone else in where you want. He doesn't have a huge body of work as a penciler and inker, but Rudy Nebres would be high on that list for me. Some of his Conan stories where he does all the art are some of my favorites. Alcala would be up there. Ernie Chan, of course, would be up there. Somebody like a Jeff Ursher would. I really liked his stuff, too, on Conan the King. This woman here is rocking the Princess Leia hair. Conan was, of course, many times a pirate, a buccaneer, a reaver. So he was, again, at home on the deck of a ship, just as he was in the saddle, wandering on foot. And the gorgeous way that Alcala renders water in the ocean. You almost get seasick looking at some of these panels. They're beautiful. And there's a real woodcut quality to some of the panels and some of the work that Alcala does here. It's just very classic. A lot of skullduggery going on in this story, a lot of betrayal. Oh, and of course, there's always a monster. Almost always. They're about to hit land. Alas, it is an outburst of joyous exultation, destined to be agonizingly cut short by a loathsome nightmare of unmitigated horror. Oregon and Macha. So they're being attacked by this kraken creature, and Conan does his best to drive it away. And a few of them do manage to survive. This guy's going to challenge Conan. This is a fun sequence, so I'll stop and read it. Presently, follow me now, all of you. We'll, begging your pardon, Captain Conan, but it seems to us that if we've been following you much too long already. Aye, Galen's right. Since taking you on, we've lost our ship, our booty, and damn near all our crew. Now the only ones left is us. So it seems like to us, Captain Conan, sir, that it's high time we dissolved your captaincy. Permanently. What? Ugh. He's dead. You cracked his spine in two like a dried out twig. Conan glowers defiantly at the mutinous corsairs, but says nothing, confident that given a moment or two of reflection, his adversaries will reach a wise decision. So they actually run away. Oh yeah, so this is This is the origin story of a guy who, there aren't a lot of recurring villains. Actually, there's a good handful of recurring villains in Conan now that I think about it. And this guy's one of my favorites. His name is escaping me right now, but maybe we'll get it in the next couple of pages. And if you're a Conan fan, you'll recognize him once you see his distinctive helmet, and he gets these various attachments. He's a loose hand here, so this guy makes all of his stuff. Really cool. And of course, he's so cruel and evil that he betrays the very man who helped him outfit himself. You were quite right when you said these new devices were costly, Smithy. After all, they've already cost you a great deal, haven't they? Your life. Oh, this guy. Huh. Yeah. Borak Sharak is his name. Borak Sharak, my beloved, praise the gods you're still alive. I prayed. Narella, don't stay back. Oh, he just brutally kills her. This guy's a sorcerer, has got still some life in him, and he's gonna, oh, that's crazy. You want to talk about a weird Cthulhuoid creature. This thing really evokes Lovecraft in its look. Barak Shak. No one's going to kill that damn barbarian but me. And he gets thrown out here. So that'll start a long series of near-death escapes for Barak Shak. Sharak, I guess his name is. Conan kills the beast and ends up alone with a bit of loot. Ernie Chan pinup on to 76. Nice Bill Sienkiewicz pinup here, beautiful. This is still, he's kind of in his Moon Knight phase here in terms of his artwork, but we do see shades of that coming Sienkiewicz cutting-edge style. And this one's Alfredo Alcala, Ricardo Villamonte, and Joe Chiodo on the artwork. So it's not pure Alcala. Not bad. Not bad. Oh, look at this unfortunate little child here. It is hard for a lot of artists to draw convincing children. They're not just miniaturized adults. People always rag on John Byrne for it. I never thought his kids were that bad or disturbing looking, but Buscema, his kids are pretty natural looking. There's some kind of giant vampire bats here. A lot of brooding blacks in this story. You know, they're incredibly creative in a black and white comic, in their ability to show depth. I think we're getting some Joe Chiodo here, transition to Joe Chiodo on the artwork, maybe. Oh, okay, so he's not a child, he's a dwarf. Fetch my dimes, I said, not my emeralds, you horrid little dwarf. Do you actually expect me to attend my own coronation adorned with such cheap trinkets as those? Kind of a cruel lady. Ugh. There's always a monster, folks. Ugh. So he helps him out. Oh my, cool looking. This dude looks like an ogre. Oof, this is a brutal fight here. Good job by the art team. And it is in fact of history that Conan of Samaria does manage to exert sufficient pressure on his adversary's spine to make it finally crack in twain with a gut-wrenching snap. So now the dwarf is in charge, and Conan is left with the last laugh. There's a rare Alan Kupperberg pinup. We don't see much of him in Savage Sword. Great Judd Jusko cover here on 77. Pablo Marcos pinup. And plot and pencils, John Buscema. Finishes and tones, Ernie Chan. Script, Michael Fleischer. So we're going to get some Buscema Chan here. I'm thinking that this one is Buscema breakdowns. This is heavily Ernie Chan. I mean, they don't say finishes for nothing. This is a lot of Ernie Chan here, and it looks great. Yeah, it's refreshing after the last couple issues. And I have to say, this is our second Giant Spider in 3 issues, and I kind of prefer this one to the one in the Buscema only artwork a couple of issues back. Ooh, I love this giant statue head in the jungle here. Very cool. Save for this gigantic stone head glowering like a grim Goliath from the leafy depths of the underbrush. Lost cities, another big thing in Conan stories. And what did I say? What should the theme of this episode be, folks? There's always a monster. Oh, this guy's got some character to him. I think they were there as a sacrifice, and this guy's trying to play it off. I got a feeling Conan and this guy are going to clash. He's definitely got a look to him. I'll snuff out your worthless life with my 2 bare hands. Do you hear me, barbarian? Aye, Darkon, I hear you. You were going to snuff out my life with your 2 hands, I believe you said. Yeah, so that dragon was his pet. And of course, Conan's about to choke him to death when he's overwhelmed by numbers, knocked unconscious, and imprisoned. What's another thing I always say in my coverage of Conan and Savage Sword? You can lock Conan up, but he always gets out. Very much Houdini-like. Oh yeah, he hurls the spear with deadly accuracy. Drives those guys off. Oh, so awesome here. Those leopards are really menacing looking. Conan is a good friend. This guy he's working with, they know they're being pursued by lepers. He's lame. He's got a crutch, and because he can't outrun them, great open panel here. Conan carries him to safety, and then he fights the leopards with his blade. Oh no. It looks like Farak is dead. But alas, the victory is of no consolation to the little Bithynian who lies dead on the sward of a shattered spine. Conan gets his own back here and sending this guy plummeting to his death. Oh yeah. We have our first real ape or ape-adjacent sighting of this volume with issue 76 in an amazing Earl Norham cover. Another Pablo Marcos pinup. Those are great. Yes, another ape adjacent monster. Same situation as last time, except we have a full Fleischer script. Buscema breakdowns, finishes, and tones by Ernie Chan. So again, just absolutely pro. This is the standard that all other Savage Sword stories are held to in my mind. The anything Buscema Chan is just, it's up there on my scale, perfect 10. Look at this, he decapitates this guy in this incredible open panel. Barbarian, behind you. Why, thank you, girl. 'Twas most thoughtful of you to guard my back that way. Just a casual swipe of his sword and he beheads that guy. We're more than halfway through, folks, and this is just amazing stuff. I'm going to pick up the speed a little. Ooh, that monster is cool. So this is a rare issue where the story goes over a couple of issues. Lovely John Tottleman there. We got some more apes. Number 79, August 1982, cover by Joe Chiodo. Fleischer script, Buscema breakdowns, Chan finishes and tones. Part 2 of this story. We get a brief recap. The reproduction is very dark on some of these panels. I love this too. Great storytelling here with this open panel and the floating head. Nicely done. Another classic Buscema. Bottom open corner. This creature has an almost tragic Frankenstein-like quality to it, but it's extremely fearsome. Ah, so great. How it shatters through that door, throttling that guy to death. You know it's inevitable. Conan's going to have to take this thing on. As a certain broad-stewed Sumerian is about to find out, the creature's hold on Conan is every bit as strong as the stone wall against which it hurls the barbarian is hard. One-handed, holding Conan in the air. Oh, and he takes its arm off with his battle axe. Nice. Thing is very death resistant here. Takes a vat of acid to finish it. And a nice open panel with Conan getting the girl at the end. Now we're on to issue 80, Colossus of Argos. And Michael Fleischer, Alfredo Alcala. And we have a pinup by Alcala here. Very nice. Alcala, a little bit of excellent cartooning there on this guy in this open panel. Cool. It's awesome. They're building a head for the statue. Conan taking on, so it looks like some werewolves or were-rats. Brutal. It's cool. I like the open panel, but the action is not as well rendered as Buscema would have done. I'm a little spoiled by that. But man, he is just going on a decapitation frenzy here. This thing is loaded with monsters. Crazy. Pretty great. They get the head on the statue. We get a little Trojan War action here as there's a hidden compartment in there. Ooh. I get stabbed in the gut there. And then it's goodbye to Argos and onward to wherever new horizons loom. For there's a rich life to be lived on all points of the compass, provided a man's got a bronze-hilt sword to wield, aye, and a strong right arm. On to issue 81, Joe Chiodo cover. Greg LaRocque and Bill Anderson pinup, that's nice. Don't see those names very often here. Fleischer script, Buscema breakdowns, finishes and tones by Chan. So the Palace of Pleasure. Oh, this is so nice. It's good stuff. Conan doing a bit of gladiatorial fighting here. Interesting arraignment on these female guards. Beautiful. Beautiful stuff. Conan finds himself in another trap. Teeth clenched, Conan lies crouched within the barrel, hemmed in on all sides by the bristling spikes. And then, are the steeds properly hitched? Aye, they are, Lord Chamberlain. And so the cast secured? Aye, Lord Chamberlain. Put your whips to them then, and may the gods have mercy on this wretched Cimmerian soul. So man, they found a very interesting way to see Conan killed here. But inside, he is resisting his fate. And again, he escapes. And you can lock him up, you can imprison him, but he will be back. Where have we heard that before? Great open panel at the bottom here. I would love to have seen these breakdowns prior to Chan's finishes, because it'd be nice to see how much value the breakdowns are bringing, aside from their storytelling aspects. How much actual completion Ernie had to do to get the final art to this state, which is obviously gorgeous. They're just such an amazing pair. Oh, speaking of children, she briefly turns Conan into a child. Shows him a picture of his mother. Her sorcery is powerful. Oh, Barak Sharak, and we're getting here to one of the first issues that I bought off the rack. Beautiful cover by Bob Larkin. Armando Gill, oh man, I wish we'd see some Armando Gill interiors again that we saw earlier in the series. Let's see, Demon in the Dark. That's Alfredo Alcala. Oh, and this does harken back to the previous Barak Sharak story where he was hurled from the tower, seemingly to his death, but we're going to find as we see more of this character, not only is his capacity for violence and murder boundless, but his ability to survive death, his seeming death, is right up there with Conan's. And we get, of course, his origin here and why he hates Conan. Nice capsule on that. I wonder if Barak Sharak ever encountered the Devourer of Souls in the story, because these two are probably my two favorite Conan villains. I wonder if this continues into the next. Yeah, it is. Demon in the Dark Pit, Part 2. Jeff Easley cover. That was rare on Savage Sword. We didn't see that very often. This is issue 83. So the second part of our Barak Sharak story. There he is again. That telltale helmet. Oh my. Those whom the backbreaking toil did not kill, the demon god did. By the score he devoured men and women, even helpless babes in arms, whom he forced us to place before him in his great sacrificial dish. Oh man, that's brutal. I wonder if Brock Shrock's going to deal badly with this old witch woman he's getting advice from. People who help him usually don't survive, but... Farewell now, Captain. And if you ever again have need of my services, do not hesitate to. No, I won't. Thank you, witch, and goodbye. So, he didn't do her dirty. We're going to have the inevitable conflict, I'm sure, between the two of them. Oh, there's a Cyclops. There's always a monster, folks. You. Hi, barbarian maggot, says Captain Borak Sharak, here to make you crawl for mercy before dispatching your worthless soul to hell. So he's going to use a device to age Conan so that he's an old man. But Conan foils him in his return to his youth. And they fight again. So seemingly he's killed here, but I can tell you that he's not. I'm not sure who does this backup story. It's not credited here, but I'll check if I remember to at the end, I'll check the table of contents. I just want to motor forward here and finish, folks, because there's a lot of material here, and I don't want to go on too long, even though I could lavish attention on every page. The Darksome Demon of Rabathan. Here we have a Vale Merrick. Nicely done. Who is this? King Conan? No, Aranjun and Zamora. So Conan just happens to be wearing this headband, which sort of reminded me of his circlet when he was King Conan, but it's not. Merrick's pencils are very moody, for sure. In some cases, he does remind me a little bit of Luke McDonnell as an artist. Much, much later, we're going to see Luke McDonnell do at least one issue of Savage Sword, but that will be many volumes from now. There's a lot of ground to cover between here and there, for sure. This was close to the time, too, that Val Merrick did his brief 2-issue series for Epic Comics, Void Indigo, which was very much an adult comics that I got as a kid. Probably a little too young. But that comic was, I think, canceled, either due to poor sales or censorship or whatever. Here we have our ape beast for this issue. Some kind of Yeti or snowman. Oh, he's brutal. Thing is still alive. Oh, the Hawk Brotherhood who hates Conan shows up, somehow saves him. I guess, like Barak Sharak, they want to be the ones who do him in. But this creature is nigh unkillable. And so that's it, folks. We got some Pablo Marcos pinups. And that concludes my read-through of Volume 7 of the Dark Horse collection of Savage Sword of Conan. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. And I'll bring you more soon on Scott Reads Comics. Thanks for watching.